On May 25, 1996, a county sheriff's deputy from central Alabama was transporting 3 prisoners from different jails to court. One of them was Michael Thompson, who was facing a murder charge. He was to be sentenced that very day. On the way, Michael asked the deputy, "May I sit in the front seat?" The deputy agreed. Also in the car was Roger Yarrarden, a man who had been caught in 17 theft cases and had escaped from jail 3 times. The 3rd prisoner was in a work release program, meaning he had received a light sentence and was allowed out to work under certain conditions. The deputy thought the trip was short and everything would be fine. Therefore, he had not handcuffed anyone. But as the car neared Talladega, Alabama, Michael Thompson suddenly made his move. He pulled a gun on the deputy and shouted angrily, "Keep driving the car. Do exactly what I say." The deputy was frightened. Michael forced him to turn the car toward the woods near Lincoln, Alabama. When the car entered the woods, Michael and Yarrarden freed themselves. They then pointed guns at the deputy and the 3rd prisoner and ordered them to walk into the woods. Then came another shock. They forced both hostages to strip, even taking off their shoes. At that moment, an extra handcuff key fell from the deputy's pocket. No one noticed, and perhaps that small thing would later prove life-saving. Fear gripped the deputy's mind. Now these men could shoot at any time, but Thompson and Yarrarden did not fire their weapons. They decided it would be better to run away through the woods. The 2 ran off toward Talladega, abandoning the deputy and the 3rd prisoner's clothes as they fled. The deputy breathed a small sigh of relief and then noticed the fallen key. Quickly, he freed himself and the 3rd prisoner from their handcuffs. The situation had now become very precarious because Thompson and Yarrarden now had the deputy's service pistol and a shotgun from the car. That meant whoever crossed their path could be in danger. The deputy and the 3rd prisoner managed somehow to flag down a passing car and reached the nearest police station. As soon as they arrived, the police issued an immediate alert and sent patrol cars everywhere. But the problem was that the area being searched was full of woods and deserted roads. For hundreds of miles there was no sign. By evening there was still no news. Then an important lead arrived. Talladega City Police received a call from Bob Cotney, a local paramedic. He said he was driving his vehicle when a sheriff's patrol car came up behind him and stopped his car. He thought it must be a routine traffic check, but when the police officer approached him, the officer was in full uniform, so Bob felt no suspicion. That officer told him, "Your vehicle matches a hit-and-run case. Show me your license and wallet." Bob replied, "I haven't been in any accident. You can check my car if you want. There isn't a single scratch." The man then said, "Your car matches the description in that case. We have to check." Bob Cotney was still calm, because the man standing before him wore a complete police uniform badge, nameplate, holstered gun. Everything looked real. Cotney said, "I'm a paramedic. This is my badge number. You can call to verify." But the fake deputy heard nothing. He said in a stern tone, "Get in the car. We're taking you to the accident scene." Cotney still thought it would not be a big deal. His car was fine. Soon everything would be cleared up. Then the story took a sudden turn. As the patrol car moved ahead, a pickup truck pulled up behind and stopped. A man got out of it. He was in ordinary clothes but carrying a shotgun. He hurried to the truck and began loading some items into it. Later, police understood that the pickup driver was Roger Yarrarden, who had escaped from jail 3 times before, and the man in the patrol car wearing the police uniform and sitting Cotney was Michael Thompson, the murderer who had been on his way to court that day. Now the whole picture became clear. Michael Thompson was a fake deputy. He was driving the patrol car. Behind him, Yarrarden was loading supplies into the pickup, and in the back seat of the patrol car sat the abducted paramedic, Bob Cotney. Cotney gathered his courage and asked, "Why is this happening?" One of them said, "We just want your car. We're taking your truck." That's when Cotney realized this was not a traffic stop, but his abduction. Now he was completely in the criminal's control. Terrified, he begged for mercy. "I'm only 30 years old. I have a wife and children. You already have my car and weapons," he said. "There's no reason to kill me." Michael Thompson and Roger Yarrarden took him off the highway to an isolated place. They also found Cotney's 9mm pistol in the car. Now Cotney was utterly helpless, trapped in the back seat of the police cruiser. A little later they pulled him out and stuffed him into the trunk of the cruiser. Lying in the dark, cramped space, Courtney felt this might be his last hour. He thought that if they shot, perhaps he could twist his body so the bullet would not hit vital parts. Sounds of passing cars kept coming from outside. Then he heard the engine of his own truck starting. The criminals had driven off with it. The trunk grew hotter. Courtney began to feel suffocated. He thought that if he breathed quickly, he would tire soon. There was no water, perhaps he would faint from thirst. His whole body trembled with fear and panic. Then he remembered he was a paramedic. He had guided hundreds through difficult times. Now he had to apply that knowledge to himself. Using a jacket that lay in the trunk, he tried and kept trying for almost 2 hours. Finally the trunk opened, and he got out. He ran to a nearby house. The woman there immediately called the police. The authorities issued a new alert. This time the escaped criminals had 2 9mm pistols and a shotgun. And most dangerously, a black pickup truck with ample fuel in the nearby highway. That meant Michael Thompson and Roger Yarrarden had a long head start. They could be anywhere. 7 days later, and about 1,200 miles away in Santa Rosa, New Mexico, that same black pickup truck was found. Its license plate had been removed, and the vehicle identification number on the dashboard had been erased to hide its identity. But investigators found another hidden identification number on the chassis. Records showed this was the same truck that had been taken from paramedic Bob Courtney in Alabama. The case had now spread across several states, so the FBI was immediately notified. A deep search of the area was conducted, but Michael Thompson and Roger Yarrarden were nowhere to be found. They had deliberately abandoned the vehicle they expected police to trace easily. On June 7, 1996, in Birmingham, Alabama, the FBI issued official warrants against both criminals for escape from jail and evading custody. Police agencies across the country were alerted to report immediately if Yarrarden or Thompson were sighted. About 2 weeks later, some 1,200 miles east of the place where the truck had been found in New Mexico, students driving near Fowler Lake, near the town of Terre Haute, Indiana, saw a car in the water. FBI agent Dean Jenkins and his team rushed to the scene. They found the car upside down at a depth of 25 to 30 feet. Its windshield was broken as if someone had pushed the car straight into the lake from a ramp. The Indiana Department of Natural Resources team dove into the lake and began investigating. They saw that the car was red and had no license plate. Many items were scattered inside. Even travelers' checks were found on the lake bed. But one thing was missing. There was no human body. Investigators found it most strange that in stolen cars, personal belongings are usually removed and tossed out along the way. Yet this car contained so many personal items, which pointed toward a bigger mystery. The car was pulled from the lake and brought to shore. When technicians opened the trunk, they found a startling item: a British passport. The passport belonged to Major David Nichols. Then they searched the glove compartment. There they found more items: travelers' checks and airline ticket stubs, all in Major Nichols' name. But the most astonishing discovery was jail booking slip. This slip was connected to an Alabama jail, and on its back was a name and address, handwritten. Checking the vehicle identification number revealed that the car had been rented from Colorado. It had been rented by Major Nichols. But 16 days later it was reported missing, and Major Nichols had been missing since that same time. It was now clear that a foreign military officer had become the victim of a crime. The matter was serious. Therefore, the Indiana police summoned Supervisory Special Agent Jack Osborne from the FBI field office. Osborne suspected that the jail booking slip found in the car might be the key to unraveling this mystery. There were some handwritten notes on the back of that slip. Most did not contain phone numbers, but some names and addresses were present. Investigation revealed that one of those names and addresses linked directly to a relative of Roger Yarrarden. This woman was his aunt, and she lived in Terre Haute, Indiana, and Yarrarden had been there after escaping from jail and eluding police all the way to New Mexico. When agents questioned that woman, she said she had no idea why her name was written on the back of an Alabama jail booking slip. She flatly denied having any information about Major David Nichols, his red rental car, or her nephew's escape. She only acknowledged that she had a nephew named Roger Dale Yarrarden. According to her, Yarrarden had been in an Alabama jail at the time and she used to correspond with him by letter. Her children also used to write letters to Yarrarden. The woman also said that some of Yarrarden's old friends lived in the Indiana area, but she could not recall their names. The FBI suspected that if Roger Yarrarden had reached Indiana, then the dangerous criminal Michael Thompson would almost certainly be with him. Agents knew that the two had already threatened to kill 3 people in Alabama, They were in possession of 2 pistols and a shotgun. It was also believed that these very weapons might have been used to kill British Major David Nichols. In June 1996, the FBI and Indiana police launched a large-scale search operation. Their goal was to locate Michael Thompson and Roger Yarrarden. The two were not only escapees from Alabama but had also become the primary suspects in the disappearance of British Army Major David Nichols. The Major's car recovered from the Indiana lake and the jail booking slip found inside it pointed directly to these 2 criminals. FBI Supervisory Special Agent Jack Osborne later said that the evidence clearly connected that car to our missing Major. The Major was not found around Terre Haute, nor was his body in the lake, but the evidence made it clear that the 2 escapees were together and that they were in possession of a British Army officer's car. They might still be hiding in the Terre Haute area. To further the investigation, FBI agents went to the British Embassy in Washington, D.C. They needed to understand what had happened during Major David Nichols's trip that led to his encounter with these fugitives. The British government provided preliminary information to the FBI. They said that their military officer, Major David Nichols, had arrived in the United States on May. He had landed in Denver and planned to travel to New Mexico, where he was to attend a language school. After that, he was scheduled to attend another training school in Texas. Both assignments had been issued by NATO. Major Nichols's schedule was on May 26 he was to attend his first seminar in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was the vice commander of the British Defense School of Languages and an expert in languages. Nichols could speak 5 different languages. Before coming to the United States, he had told his wife and 3 children that they would spend a few days sightseeing before the seminar started. But language school officials told the FBI that Major Nichols never arrived. His disappearance worried the British government even more. He had neither reached the school nor had he contacted his family or friends. Supervisory Agent Jack Osborne assigned the case to the Albuquerque field office. Special Agent John Sham was given the responsibility of determining where the Major had last been seen. Now agents had only one lead: the 450-mile route from Denver to Albuquerque. The FBI was given the Major's travel itinerary, his photographs, his description, and his potential contacts in the United States. It was essential to determine where and how he had disappeared along that journey. To do so, the agents examined Major Nichols's credit card records. The last time his card was used was in a small town called Raton, situated on the Colorado-New Mexico border. There he had filled his tank at a gas station. That was the very place located only 50 miles from where the criminals had abandoned the stolen black pickup truck. The FBI's investigative focus was now clear. Major Nichols had last been seen in Raton. He was supposed to arrive at a hotel in Albuquerque where he had already booked a room, but he never reached that hotel. His booking had not been canceled either. It was clear that the Major had gone missing somewhere between Raton and Albuquerque. The FBI suspected that Thompson and Yarrarden had abducted the Major, but both men themselves were fugitive. To advance the inquiry, Agent John Sham spoke with the Major's wife in England. She said, "My husband was a very simple, straightforward man. If he encountered criminals, he would never resist. He would do whatever the other person said, whether it was to give up the car or money. His greatest fear would have been that something might happen preventing him from safely returning to England to raise his children." Meanwhile, near the same Indiana lake from which the Major's car had been recovered, the local police received another call. This time it came from a junkyard manager. He reported that 2 suspicious men had been seen on his property. When police arrived, they saw the 2 men get out of a pickup truck and run toward the woods. The truck was loaded with scrap. A lone officer judged it too dangerous to pursue them on his own, so he broadcast the truck's number over the radio. Checks revealed the truck was stolen. Crime scene technicians searched the truck and recovered some important evidence. They found a strap tag from a video camera that belonged to Major David Nichols. In addition, a letter addressed to Roger Yarrarden's mother in Alabama was found. It stated that he had been released from jail and would be staying in the Terre Haute area. The FBI immediately contacted Yarrarden's mother, but she said she had no information about her son and had not heard from him. Still, the evidence was making the picture clearer for investigators. The items recovered from the truck proved this vehicle was directly connected to Roger Yarrarden and Michael Thompson. Most importantly, the truck was also linked to the disappearance of Major David Nichols. Near a high school in Terre Haute, the FBI and Indiana police set up a temporary command post. After obtaining court authorization, Yarrarden's juvenile records were examined. An interesting detail emerged. Roger Yarrarden was often apprehended with a particular friend. When agents looked up that friend, they discovered he was the manager of a nearby auto salvage yard. This lead was extremely important. Indiana police provided this information to FBI Special Agent William Hamilton. He and his partner decided to go into the area undercover. They took an ordinary unmarked car, and their pretext was that they were searching for a specific auto part. The salvage yard, spread over about 5 acres, appeared to be an ideal hiding place. Old cars were piled everywhere and thick woods surrounded the perimeter. Agents began a quiet surveillance of the property. The most important thing for the agents was to confirm whether Yarrarden's childhood friend indeed worked at that salvage yard. To conceal their identities, they even left their badges and weapons in the car. Now completely undercover, they reached the southern part of the yard. A trailer stood at the edge of the woods, and 2 men were working nearby. Their appearance exactly matched that of escaped convicts, but the agents were unarmed and could not be certain. Rather than confront them directly, they started a conversation with the yard manager. During the talk, it became clear that this was indeed Yarrarden's old friend. He said he had known Roger Yarrarden for many years, and also revealed that at the beginning of June, Yarrarden had come to his house with his companion. At that time they were in a red Taurus, and that car matched the description of Major David Nichols' missing vehicle. But by the time the discussion ended and the agents glanced around, the 2 men standing near the trailer had vanished. The FBI believed they were none other than Michael Thompson and Roger Yarrarden. Immediately an arrest team was formed. Agents and local police again moved toward the yard. On the way, they saw a pickup truck speeding past. One agent clearly saw that Roger Yarrarden was sitting inside the vehicle, and with him was the manager of the yard. It could not be confirmed whether Michael Thompson was also in it or not. Police chased the truck. The vehicle stopped on a deserted road. At that moment, Yarrarden jumped out and ran toward the forest. Police caught his friend and began interrogation. The captured manager said that Yarrarden had forced him to drive the truck to mislead the police. As soon as he got the chance, Yarrarden escaped. He claimed that he had not deliberately helped the criminals, nor did he know anything about their recent crimes. He only knew that Roger Yarrarden had once gone to jail in a theft case. Police tried to catch Yarrarden, but once again he slipped out of their hand. For his capture, now a canine unit was called. Trained dogs picked up Yarrarden's gun scent and started tracking. Finally, on July 2, 1996, Roger Yarrarden gave up. He realized that he could no longer run. But the story did not end here, because his companion and convicted murderer Michael Thompson was still at large. FBI Special Agent Jack Osbert at that time said, "This case is not over yet. Now we have one more fugitive criminal in front of us, and perhaps he is the most dangerous of the 2. We do not know if he is still in this area or somewhere else. Is he hiding in the trailer? Did he run into the forest? Does he have weapons? Anything is possible." There was suspicion that Thompson had taken shelter in the trailer at the auto salvage yard. Therefore, police and the FBI surrounded the trailer from all sides. Agents gave a warning. "We will release tear gas into the trailer. Come out, raise your hands and surrender." Now the entire trailer was encircled. Agents were alert, because they feared Michael Thompson might be inside and could have a long-range rifle or pistol. The security cordon was reinforced all around. Again and again, warnings were given. "Come out with your hands up. You will not be harmed." But no sound came from inside. Finally, the officials gave the order to release tear gas. The trailer was surrounded on all sides and gas was released. The atmosphere was filled with tension. All eyes were fixed on the door, expecting it to open and Michael Thompson to come out. It was July 2, 1996, the same day Roger Yarrarden had been caught in Indiana. FBI agents were confident that now his companion Michael Thompson would also be captured. They stormed the trailer with full force. But when Department of Natural Resources agent Dean Jenkins and his team entered inside, the scene was completely different. The trailer was lying empty. There was no trace of Michael Thompson. It was a huge disappointment for everyone. They had expected that both fugitives would be caught together and the case would end. But that did not happen. One was caught, and the other was still roaming free. After this, agents interrogated the salvage yard manager, the same childhood friend who had unknowingly sheltered the fugitive. He said that he did not know anything about Michael Thompson and also not about which crimes Yarrarden had been involved in. But he gave an important piece of information. He showed the agents the place where Yarrarden and Thompson used to keep their belongings. From the trunk of a car, agents found a suitcase clearly labeled David Nichols. It belonged to the missing British major. Inside the suitcase were his clothes and personal items. This discovery further strengthened the FBI's suspicion that both criminals had kidnapped Major Nichols in New Mexico itself. After this, the search was expanded even more. Around the salvage yard and nearby area, a security cordon covering nearly 3 miles was set up. The yard manager was given clear instructions that if he saw Thompson anywhere, he must immediately inform the police. FBI and police teams, with the help of the K-9 unit, made small groups of 3 to 4 officers each and began searching the yard, forest and every trail. This search started in the afternoon and went on till late at night, but still Michael Thompson was not caught. He again managed to escape everyone's grasp. Agents began to suspect that perhaps he had already gone beyond the security cordon. The next morning, July 3, 1996, when Roger Yarrarden had already been arrested, suddenly the phone call came that everyone had been waiting for. The call was from Yarrarden's childhood friend. He told the FBI, "Michael Thompson is still in the junkyard. He is sleeping behind a car near my house." This news made the FBI alert, but there was also concern in their minds. If Thompson had a weapon, the situation could turn dangerous. But this time Michael Thompson neither tried to escape nor resisted. He calmly surrendered himself to the police. After a 43-day-long search, 6,000 miles of distance, and thousands of hours of effort, finally both fugitives connected to the disappearance of British Major David Nichols were in police custody. Michael Thompson was captured, but he did not say a single word to investigators. On the other hand, Roger Yarrarden, who had been arrested a day earlier, showed a completely different attitude. He hoped that if he helped the FBI, his sentence might be reduced. FBI Special Agent Jack Osberg began his interrogation. Yarrarden said clearly that he would tell everything. How they escaped from jail, how they hijacked cars in Alabama, and what happened afterward. That was the first time investigators learned the truth. The British Army officer Major David Nichols was no longer alive. After hijacking a car in Alabama, both of them reached New Mexico. There they sold tools from the truck for money. But when the money ran out, they decided they had to rob another traveler and seize his car. For this, they chose a deserted rest area, about 100 miles south of Raton, New Mexico. It was the same place up to which Major Nichols' journey had been recorded. The criminals waited for a lone traveler, and then Major David Nichols arrived in his car. Just like they had done earlier in Alabama, this time too they forced the major out of the vehicle and locked him in the trunk at gunpoint. After this, Thompson drove the major's rental car while Yarrarden followed behind in their truck. According to Yarrarden's testimony, the major's behavior was exactly as his wife had earlier told the FBI. The major remained calm. He did not resist in any way. He only wanted the situation not to worsen. During interrogation, FBI agent John Shum said, "What Major's wife told us." Yarrarden also repeated. Major Nichols did not resist. In conversation he mentioned his 3 sons living in England, and said that he had to return to them. He kept repeating that he should not be harmed, because his children's future depended on him. Yarrarden, in his defense, said that the entire kidnapping plan was made by Michael Thompson. He was the one taking every decision and leading the whole event. Both criminals drove nearly 50 miles and then left the highway for a deserted area. In the darkness, Thompson took Major David Nichols out of the trunk at gunpoint, led him forward, and then, without any warning, shot him in the back of the head. After this, he turned the body over and fired again. At the same spot, both of them hid the major's body, and a few miles away abandoned their pickup truck. Yarrarden confessed that Thompson never told him why he killed the major. After that, both fugitives drove Major's rental car to Indiana, and sank it in Fowler Lake. In the FBI interrogation, Yarrarden admitted everything, but for further cooperation, he set a condition. He would only reveal the exact location of the Major's body if the government promised that the death penalty would not be demanded against him. He also said that he should not be sent to any state prison in Alabama. The FBI agents listened to his words. For them, the biggest priority was to find the body of Major David Nichols. Special Agent John Shum later said, "For us it was extremely important that Major's body be found. It could become the most crucial evidence in the trial, and the most important thing was that when we could not save him alive, at least it was our duty to return his body to his family." Eventually, the federal prosecutors agreed to accept Roger Yarrarden's condition. After this, Roger Yarrarden told the investigators that he would take them to the place in the forests of New Mexico, where the body of Major David Nichols was hidden. But for the FBI, this was not easy. Yarrarden was an experienced fugitive criminal. He had escaped 4 times from Alabama prison. The agents feared that this might be part of a new escape plan. The FBI team now faced a double challenge. On one hand, they had to find Major Nichols' body, and on the other hand, they had to keep a close watch on Yarrarden's every move, so that he would not trick the agents and escape again. For security, a SWAT team was also deployed on the spot. Agents were also worried that Yarrarden's friends might be hiding nearby, and could suddenly attack to free him. On September 24, 1996, after Roger Yarrarden was recaptured, the FBI took him to the desert area of New Mexico. Yarrarden claimed that this was the place where, after the murder of the Major, the body had been hidden. Later, FBI Special Agent John Shum said, "If Yarrarden had not helped, it would have been almost impossible to find the body in such a deserted place." The area was extremely barren. From a deserted 2-lane road, they had to travel about a mile on a gravel path. Then they had to cross several hundred yards of a cattle pasture. It was such a far and deserted place that it seemed almost impossible for anyone to reach there. The agents still suspected that Yarrarden might be playing another trick. But finally he pointed towards a spot. At that moment, Yarrarden too was unusually serious and silent. This was the place where the body of Major David Nichols was recovered. Now, at last, his family could give him a respectful final farewell. But because the body had remained in the open for a long time, identification was not easy. For this, dental x-rays were taken and matched with the records sent from England. The result was clear. This body was indeed of British Army Major David Nichols. The tragic news was delivered to the family in Britain. The main accused in this whole case was Michael Thompson. In court, he admitted to carjacking and the murder of a foreign officer. He was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. In addition, in Alabama, for cases of kidnapping, robbery, and escape, he was given 5 more life sentences. Meanwhile, Roger Yarrarden had cooperated in the investigation. Therefore, he was convicted only in 1 crime of carjacking and sentenced to 18 years in prison. According to his condition, he was not sent to Alabama's state prison, but was instead placed in a federal prison. Initially, he was kept temporarily in a county jail in Las Vegas, New Mexico, so that he could later be transferred. But soon something happened that shocked everyone. Roger Yarrarden once again escaped from prison. This time, 2 other inmates also escaped with him. A search team with the help of dogs tracked Yarrarden's scent. The trail led out of the prison straight to the highway and ended there. That same day, one of the escaped inmates was caught. His leg had been injured while fleeing, and he could not go far on foot. That prisoner told the police that the entire escape plan had been made by Yarrarden. In fact, Yarrarden had managed to arrange an Allen wrench and a hacksaw from the black market inside the prison. With these tools, he opened the prison's maintenance panel and reached the air duct. From there, he crawled to the roof and cut through the ductwork to get out. As soon as he got out, the 4th inmate, who stayed behind, refitted the panel so that no one would suspect anything. After this, Yarrarden and the other inmates ran across the roof and jumped over the wall to get outside. Once out, they all ran in different directions. The captured inmate said that this was the last time he saw Roger Yarrarden. When Yarrarden once again escaped over the prison wall, a short while later the prison officials informed FBI Special Agent John Shum. Agent Shum later said, "When I heard that Yarrarden had again escaped from federal custody, I was very angry. This was the same man with a long history of escapes. The people keeping him in custody should have known his habits and should have been much more alert. Investigators believed that Roger Yarrarden might return to his family or old acquaintance. With this suspicion, the FBI turned to DeKalb County, Alabama. There, agents began questioning every possible contact of his. They also questioned one of his former girlfriends. "Have you spoken to Roger recently? Any letter or phone call?" The woman clearly denied it. She said that she had neither seen Yarrarden nor had any contact with him. As the agents were leaving, they gave her their card and told her to immediately inform them if Yarrarden ever appeared. But as soon as the agents left, the woman told her current boyfriend the truth. She admitted that Roger Yarrarden was hiding right in her house, in the attic. Hearing this, her boyfriend panicked and immediately called the police. The police arrived at the spot, but they did not know whether Yarrarden had weapons or whether he could attack from above. The atmosphere was extremely tense, and then 5 weeks after escaping from New Mexico, officials finally surrounded Roger Yarrarden. He was caught in DeKalb County, Alabama, the same place where his journey of crimes had begun. But this time, his escape had completely nullified the previous deal. Now he had to face trial in Alabama for his new crimes. In Talladega, Assistant Attorney General David Estes prosecuted the case against Yarrarden. The jury did not take long to reach a decision. In just 1 hour, they returned and found Roger Dale Yarrarden guilty. He was convicted of 3 counts of first-degree kidnapping, 2 counts of first-degree robbery, and 1 count of first-degree escape. As punishment, the court sentenced him to 5 life sentences, all without parole. Now Roger Yarrarden is locked up in Alabama's maximum lockdown unit. From there, he will never be able to come out. His life will now end forever behind iron bars.